What is going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be ranking every single Power 5 college football quarterback from worst to best. I'm also going to be predicting the starter for each of these teams based on the information that I have. Not everybody is going to agree with my ranking, so let me know what you disagree with down in the comments below. But let's start off all the way at the bottom of my rankings. And at number 70, I have Jerry Bohannon. He is the BYU quarterback. BYU had very bad quarterback play in 2023, and I don't expect them to be much better in 2024. Jerry Bohannon is a South Florida transfer, but he is very injury prone. He could offer an experience factor as a senior, but I don't expect him to be that great. At number 69, I have Hudson Card from Purdue. He didn't have a great 2023 year, and Purdue lost their best wide receiver, and the offensive line is a big concern. Hudson Card is not very skilled, and I don't expect much from him in 2024. At number 68, I have Cade McNamara from Iowa. Iowa has a new offensive coordinator, but this team still has massive concerns. They have a very bad offense. Cade McNamara isn't a terrible quarterback, but he is very injury prone, and I don't expect him to do much for this team in 2024. At number 67, I have the Rutgers quarterback Athan Kaliakmanis. He did win the starting job for 2024, but he really struggled at Minnesota in 2023. He is coming over from Minnesota. But Rutgers shouldn't have to rely on him too much. Rutgers has a pretty great rushing attack, and Athens should improve his accuracy with less pressure on him. At number 66, I have Nate Johnson, who is the Vanderbilt quarterback. He is athletic and he's young. He should win the job, but he just isn't that great. He's a good rusher that needs to gain confidence and become an accurate passer. We'll see what he can do in 2024, but I don't expect great quarterback play from Vanderbilt. At number 65, I have Mike Wright. He's Northwestern's quarterback. He has 4 years of SEC experience, so that's why he's a bit higher on my list, but he's not a great passer. He has only completed 55% of his passes, and he is not even guaranteed to win the job. At number 64, I have Donovan Smith from Houston. He's a dual threat quarterback, and he was very productive for a bottom of the Big 12 team like Houston. He had solid stats, but he was inconsistent and he threw 13 interceptions. He will really need to cut back on mistakes if Houston wants to bounce back. At number 63, I have Brendan Sorsby, who is the Cincinnati quarterback. He transferred from Indiana, and he had a terrible offense to work with in 2023 at Indiana. He should improve at Cincinnati, though. He's a decent athlete, but he still will not have much to work with at Cincinnati, so I do have him pretty low on my list. At number 62, I have Hank Bachmeier from Wake Forest. He transferred from Boise State, then he transferred from Louisiana Tech. He is a veteran, but he hasn't had a great career, even though he was a pretty solid recruit. But he does have a chance to turn it around this year, and Dave Clawson is trying to get this offense on the right track again, and maybe they can get it done. But Hank Bachmeier just isn't a great quarterback. At number 61, I have Nate Yarnell from Pitt. There's optimism for this new offense with the new offensive coordinator, but there's still some concerns. He did go 41 for 62 with nearly 600 passing yards in 2023, but he's not very mobile, and Pitt has a lot of concerns on the offensive line. At number 60, I have MJ Morris. He's the Maryland quarterback. He is definitely a downgrade from Tualia Tagovailoa. He's an inconsistent passer. He only completed 55% of his passes. He will have to battle with Edwards for the job, and Morris should win. He's talented and he can use his legs, but he still has to improve as a passer. At 59, I have Giovanni McCoy from Oregon State. There's a lot of unknowns with this quarterback. He was the Idaho transfer, and he was an excellent runner. He could be a solid addition, but the offensive line will need to protect him. At number 58, I have Luke Altmaier. He's the Illinois quarterback. He's not actually bad, he just has no help on offense, and he doesn't work in a great system either. He does need to stay healthy as well. He's effective with his legs, and he completed 65% of his passes last season, but he really needs help at the wide receiver position. At number 57, I have Sam Levitt from Arizona State. He did transfer over from Michigan State, and he has improved as a passer, but there's still a lot of unknowns and he's got limited experience. Coach Dillingham thinks he has a high ceiling though. At 56, I have John Mateer, and he is the Washington State quarterback. Similar to Oregon State, there's some unknowns. He's a new quarterback. He did have a good showing this spring. He went 16 for 20, and he also appeared in 11 games last season. I think he will be pretty productive for Washington State next season. At number 55, I have Connor Harrell. He's the North Carolina quarterback, and he will likely beat out Max Johnson. He's young, and he showed early spark last season against West Virginia in the bowl game. He's very effective with his legs, but he needs to improve as a passer. At number 54, I have Blake Shapen. He is the Mississippi State quarterback. Blake Shapen threw for over 2,000 yards and completed 61% of his passes last year. He only threw 3 interceptions despite the struggles Baylor had. Blake Shapen and that Mississippi State offense does have potential, but it will probably take time with new head coach Jeff Lebby. At number 53, I have Josh Hoover, who is the TCU quarterback. He had a very disappointing 2023 season. TCU as a whole had a disappointing season, but Hoover does have a strong group of wideouts, and the job is clearly his now. So watch out for him to improve in 2024, because Sonny Dykes is a pretty decent offensive mind. At 52, I have Taylon Green from Arkansas. He was very productive on the ground for Boise State, and he ran for 9 touchdowns. He may be an under-the-radar quarterback, but he really needs to improve as a passer, but there are some reasons for optimism. At number 51, I have Ashton Daniels from Stanford. It is huge for him to have a Malik Ironmaner back at receiver, and don't be surprised if Ashton Daniels takes a step forward. There's competition to push him, and Daniels should be a decent option for Stanford moving forward. I don't think 4-star freshman Elijah Brown will start, but he is definitely the future of this team after Ashton Daniels is gone. At number 50, I have Behren Morton. He's the Texas Tech quarterback, and there are reasons for optimism. Texas Tech brings in Josh Kelly, former Washington State wide receiver who was really good, and they also bring in 5-star receiver Micah Hudson, and he is a freshman. Those are 2 huge additions, and he has an offense to back him up. You give Morton more time and experience, and he could take big strides if he does stay healthy. At number 49, I have Max Brosmer, who is the Minnesota quarterback. He is another new starter for Minnesota, and Minnesota has to go with another new quarterback, and he is a transfer from the FCS, so this is a high-risk, high-reward type of quarterback. Max Brosmer passed for over 8,000 yards and 70 touchdowns in 36 games in his career. He could be an under-the-radar quarterback, but it's going to be tough in the Big Ten. At number 48, I have Alan Bowman. He's the Oklahoma State quarterback, and he's very experienced. He became the starter last season, passing for over 3,000 yards, but he was inconsistent and he did throw 14 interceptions, and he's not very productive with his legs, so I can't put him much higher on this list. At 47, I have Anthony Colandrea from Virginia. He showed spark as a freshman after earning the starting job last season. He passed for nearly 2,000 yards and 13 touchdowns while completing 62% of his passes. There's still room to grow and he is young. At number 46, I have Chandler Rogers from California. California had okay quarterback play, and they should improve a little bit in 2024 because they have competition in that room and they have 2 options. They have Mendoza and Rogers. And right now it's looking like the North Texas quarterback transfer Rogers is going to win that job. There are some question marks, but he passed for over 3,000 yards and 29 touchdowns for North Texas in 2023, so he should be a pretty solid addition to round out that offense. At number 45, I have Tyler Shough. He is the new Louisville quarterback who transferred from Texas Tech. I'm really not high on Shough at all. He should be okay, but I only expect Louisville to have a decent offense and not a great offense. Shough is very injury prone, and I just do not think he's an upgrade at quarterback. He's very inconsistent and he also has pretty average stats, but on the bright side, he is a veteran and one of the more experienced players in college football right now. So maybe Louisville finds great quarterback play from him, but I just don't see it. At number 44, I have Ethan Garbers from UCLA. He kinda beat out 5-star freshman Dante Moore for the job in 2023. They were both kind of splitting reps, but after a while, Ethan Garbers really became that number 1 guy. He threw for a 67% completion percentage and 11 touchdowns. He won't be a huge problem for Big Ten defenses, but he should be solid and get the job done for UCLA. At number 43, I have Lenoir Sellers from South Carolina. I think Sellers is an under-the-radar quarterback. He can use his legs, but he will have to replace Spencer Rattler. But I think Lenoir Sellers has potential. He's a 6'3", 245-pounder, and people should watch out for that guy. At number 42, I have Maalik Murphy, who is the Duke quarterback. He will not have a great offense to work with, but he was a very great recruit out of high school, and he should be a solid addition for Duke. Murphy really needs to get more reps and experience because he didn't have a great performance when he started for Texas in 2023. But 2024 is a new year and Maalik Murphy does have potential. At number 41, I have Tyler Van Dyke, and he is the Wisconsin quarterback. Wisconsin will not ask much from him in 2024. He should be able to get the job done though. He had a great 2021 freshman year. He threw for 25 touchdowns and nearly 3,000 yards. Unfortunately, he really went downhill after that, but if he could cut back on mistakes, he could potentially turn his college career around. so he's an interesting quarterback addition for Wisconsin. At number 40, I have Curtis Wark from Indiana. He was actually the 2022 MAC Player of the Year, and he's a transfer from Ohio. He has a great arm, lots of experience, and he's an interesting addition. He just needs to work on his accuracy, but he is one of the more underrated quarterbacks right now. At number 39, I have Kyle McCord from Syracuse. He might really struggle at Syracuse, but he's not a terrible quarterback. He had decent numbers at Ohio State, but it wasn't enough to get the job done for them. We should expect his stats to take a step down because he won't have much to work with at Syracuse, but Syracuse could be a sleeper team in the ACC, and Kyle McCord should be a solid addition for Syracuse. At number 38, I have Alex Orji from Michigan, and at the very least, he adds a big advantage in the run game. He does have a deep arm, but we haven't seen hardly anything from him in the passing game, so there's a big concern there, but he should be dangerous on the ground, and Michigan could have a crazy run game in 2024, because I really think they're going to run the ball a lot more, even more than they did in 2023. At number 37, I have Aiden Childs from Michigan State. Maybe I have him a bit high on my list, but this is just my opinion, and Aiden Childs is learning from Jonathan Smith, and they both transferred over from Oregon State. Jonathan Smith is now the new head coach, and Aiden Childs is the new quarterback. And Aiden Childs was one of the top-rated transfer portal quarterbacks. He's young and still a bit unproven, but he had 300 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 2 on the ground. He had a great completion percentage of 68 only as a freshman, and Aiden Childs has potential to help turn that Michigan State offense around. At number 36, I have DeQuan Finn from Baylor. He was the best quarterback in the MAC in 2023. He had 29 total touchdowns, 2,657 yards, and 563 rushing yards. He's athletic and he's a pretty good passer. He should be a great addition for Baylor, and he does create some optimism for that offense even though Baylor is in a big hole right now. At number 35, I have Rocco Becht. He's the Iowa State quarterback, and he has a pretty solid team around him. Iowa State has a great defense, and Rocco Becht should be a pretty solid quarterback as well. He had over 3,000 yards and 23 touchdowns with a completion percentage of 63 only as a freshman. Rocco Becht is a pretty solid quarterback, and Iowa State is a true Big 12 sleeper. At number 34, I have Dylan Raiola from Nebraska. He's a 5-star freshman, and he's already impressing this spring. The offense has some reliable targets, and all they have to do is stay healthy. Dylan Raiola could be much higher on this list in another year or two, but the offense does still have some concerns. But Dylan Raiola should be a huge upgrade for Nebraska at quarterback, and I do think he does belong this high on the list. At number 33, I have Cade Klubnik, who is the Clemson quarterback. And I don't understand the Clemson hype, and Cade Klubnik is solid at best. I just cannot put him any higher on my list. I expect Clemson to struggle yet again on offense. They have unproven wideouts, average offensive line, they lost Will Shipley, and Cade Klubnik is just not that guy. At number 32, I have Preston Stone, who is the SMU quarterback. He had over 3,000 yards passing and 21 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions last season. He is a bit inconsistent, but he's a great leader, and he will be coming off a leg injury, so watch out for him to try to light it up in 2024. I do expect him to put up numbers in the ACC next season. Right ahead of him, I have number 31, Thomas Castellanos from Boston College. Thomas Castellanos and Preston Stone could easily be swapped, but I do think Thomas Castellanos has the small advantage. Even though he doesn't have a great team around him, he's still at over 2,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards. He is one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in college football right now. At number 30, I have Will Rogers from Washington. He's an under-the-radar quarterback. He was the all-time Mississippi State passing leader, and he is second most in SEC history. He will have to lead a revamped Washington offense, but don't be surprised if that Washington offense is better than expected because Jedd Fisch is a great offensive mind. And Will Rogers should be able to get the job done at quarterback. At number 29, I have Brock Vandagriff from Kentucky. He still has some unknowns, a lot of unknowns because he's hardly played in his career. But he was highly recruited, and he should be productive for Kentucky. He was pretty solid in the little time he played for Georgia. He completed 12 of 18 passes for 165 yards and 2 TDs. So we'll see what Brock Vandagriff can do for Kentucky in 2024. At number 28, I have Garrett Greene, who is the West Virginia quarterback. He's very underappreciated and doesn't get enough attention. He was very productive, and he has a great arm, and he's very dangerous with his legs. He helped lead West Virginia to win 9 games last season while everybody was not believing in this West Virginia team. Greene's accuracy should improve in his senior year though, so we should expect Greene to put up numbers in 2024. At number 27, I have KJ Jefferson from UCF. Jefferson was one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC, and he transferred over from Arkansas. He ultimately had a pretty down season in 2023 playing for a garbage Arkansas offense. But I think he is going to light it up in 2024 and he's going to find a lot of success playing for UCF. He is a big quarterback and he should be a monster for UCF. At number 26, I have Drew Aller, and he is the Penn State quarterback. Most people would probably have him more higher on this list, and maybe I do have him too low, but I'm really not super high on Drew Aller. He's very slow at getting the ball away, he's pretty inconsistent, and he only completed 59% of his passes last season. And I really don't expect him to be much better in 2024. He lost his best wideout, Keandre Lambert-Smith. He is a solid quarterback, but he is overrated in my opinion. At number 25, I have Haynes King, who is the Georgia Tech quarterback. He is one of the best ACC quarterbacks. He had pretty great numbers, passing for nearly 3,000 yards with 27 touchdowns last season. He's also dangerous on the ground. The only concern is that he threw 16 interceptions last season. But if he limits turnovers, teams will have a hard time stopping him. At number 24, I have Will Howard from Ohio State. I do think he should be an upgrade from Kyle McCord. I don't really have any concern about that. He's a mobile quarterback and he's a lot bigger. He completed 60% of his passes with less to work with at Kansas State. He will have a lot better weapons at Ohio State. He should be a good quarterback, but he shouldn't be a great quarterback. Will it be enough to get the job done for Ohio State? I don't know. But it certainly will be better than Kyle McCord, and Ohio State has a great team next season. So this is a legit national title contender, even if Will Howard isn't an elite quarterback. At number 23, I have Peyton Thorne. He is the Auburn quarterback. He was very inconsistent and pretty mid in 2023. He would have been a lot lower on this list last season. He was probably one of the worst Power 5 quarterbacks in 2023. And I do have him very high on my list. But here's the thing. In 2023, he did not get a spring with Auburn. But in 2024, he had a full spring of practice. And I watched that Auburn spring game and it looked like he has improved a lot. He now has Keandre Lambert-Smith and a 5-star receiver in Cam Coleman. Peyton Thorne has been a lot more calm and collective in the pocket, and I've heard a lot of great things from him this spring. I do think he is an under-the-radar quarterback who is going to improve a lot this season. And maybe I'm wrong, but this is one of my bold predictions in this ranking list. At number 22, I have DJ Uiagalelei from Florida State. He should definitely elevate his game working under Mike Novell. He's a veteran, and he has come full circle coming back to the ACC. He should definitely have his best year for Florida State in 2024. And it might not even be close to the numbers he put up before Florida State. He was a pretty average quarterback before. He wasn't bad, he was just solid at best. But I expect him to take strides in 2024. At number 21, I have Avery Johnson, who is the Kansas State quarterback. His skill set fits Kansas State pretty well, and he's probably an upgrade from Will Howard. He's on the rise, and he played pretty well in limited play last season. He led them to a win against NC State in their bowl game, and I expect him to take strides because this is his team now. At number 20, I have Connor Wigman from Texas A&M. He has a lot of potential. He's a 5-star quarterback, but he got slowed down playing for Jimbo Fisher, and he got injured as well. They lost Evan Stewart at receiver, and they don't have great options at wide receiver, but he does still have some options, and I really can't put Connor Wigman any lower because I do think he is a good quarterback. At number 19, I have Graham Mertz for Florida. Graham Mertz is a lot better than people give him credit for. The Gators were not great last season, but he still passed for nearly 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. And he did that while only having 3 interceptions, and he had a great completion percentage of 72. We should definitely expect him to take another step forward in 2024. And I do think Graham Mertz is an underrated quarterback. At number 18, I have Kyron Jones from Virginia Tech. He's very dangerous on the ground, and he's also young. He's one of the faster rising quarterbacks in college football right now, and he's going to put up numbers in 2024. Virginia Tech is on the rise, and so is Kyron Jones, and he should get even better next season. He'll probably have a 1,000-yard rushing and 2,000-yard passing season, and I expect him to take massive strides next season. At number 17, I have Grayson McCall, who is the NC State quarterback. This is another quarterback that I think is really underrated, and I do have him pretty high on my list. But he is a veteran, and he was an excellent Group of 5 quarterback. He'll have a lot better weapons at NC State with Concepcion Rogers and Justin Jolie. He did great work at Coastal Carolina, but he is going to have a lot better of a team at NC State. And I really think NC State is a big sleeper to win the ACC, because NC State finally has good quarterback play, which they haven't had in quite a while. At number 16, I have Jackson Arnold. He is the Oklahoma quarterback. He's a 5-star quarterback with a lot of potential. He'll probably be top 10 or even top 5 in another year or two. He has a great arm and he's already a pretty good quarterback. He's just a bit inconsistent and really needs to cut back on mistakes, but he should definitely improve in 2024 because he will have a full season under his belt. At number 15, I have Riley Leonard, who is the Notre Dame quarterback. He's tough and he's a great playmaker. He should be a solid leader for Notre Dame. And offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock should definitely help him out. Riley Leonard isn't a super skilled quarterback, but I think he is one of the top leaders in college football at the quarterback position. So I do have him at number 15. At number 14, I have Miller Moss, who is the USC quarterback. A lot of people probably wouldn't have him this high on their list, but the game against Louisville was just a brief preview and we know what to expect with Lincoln Riley quarterbacks. He had over 300 yards and 6 TDs versus Louisville, and Miller Moss should go off in 2024. USC is going to continue to have success at quarterback, and USC doesn't just have Moss. If it doesn't go right with Moss, I think they'll figure it out with Jada Mayava. So either way, I think USC belongs in the top 15 at the quarterback position. At number 13, I have Garrett Nussmeier, who is the LSU quarterback. LSU is definitely going to take a bit of a step down at quarterback. Nussmeier isn't super effective with his legs, but he has a great arm and he has a great system to work with. He will be a fun quarterback to watch, and LSU might have less weapons, but they still have Kyron Lacey, who is going to go off next season. And Nussmeier should put up great numbers. At number 12, I have Brady Cook from Missouri. He impressed last season and he was a breakout quarterback. He threw for over 3,000 yards with 21 passing touchdowns, and he also had 8 on the ground. We should watch out for him to take another step forward because Luther Burden at receiver is back, and they are going to light it up next year, and Brady Cook is one of those long shots for the Heisman Trophy. At number 11, I have Jalen Daniels, who is the Kansas quarterback. He is one of the most talented quarterbacks in college football. He's a great passer, great runner, but he cannot stay healthy, and that has been a huge concern. But Kansas is a real contender in the Big 12 if he does stay healthy. And maybe I do have Jalen Daniels a bit too high, but he is just too talented to not have him this high. At number 10, I have Nico Iamaleava. He is the new Tennessee quarterback, and he probably has the highest ceiling out of any young quarterback on my list. He had a decent showing in last season's bowl game against Iowa. He was a 5-star quarterback out of high school, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got that Tennessee offense back to their 2022 numbers it was putting up. That offense for Tennessee should be elevated, because Nico Iamaleava is just that good. At number 9, I have Cam Rising, who is Utah's quarterback. He won back-to-back Pac-12 championships in 2021 and 2022. He got injured, but he will be back. Utah added weapons at wide receiver, and this offense should be much better. Cam Rising just needs to get back on the right track and stay healthy. I really can't put him any lower on this list because of the accolades he already has. And he's a veteran and he will be back, so I think he's going to go crazy in 2024. At number 8, I have another Cam, but this Cam is Cam Ward, and he is the Miami quarterback. You give Cam Ward a good offensive line and a better team around him, and he could truly be a dark horse Heisman contender. He is an excellent dual threat quarterback, and he should really help elevate that Miami offense in 2024. Cam Ward is a very talented quarterback. At number 7, I have Arizona quarterback Noah Fifita. He was super impressive only as a freshman. He threw for nearly 3,000 yards and a 72% completion percentage, which is insane as a freshman. He has Tetairoa McMillan back at wide receiver, and Fifita is going to go crazy in the Big 12 next season. At number 6, I have Shedeur Sanders, who is the Colorado quarterback. He's a great quarterback, but he has a terrible team, terrible offensive line. But he still manages to put up great numbers. He had 3,200 yards to 3 interceptions last season. He's probably a first-round pick, and Colorado should have a great offense in 2024. At number 5, I have Jalen Milroe, who is the Alabama quarterback. He gets a lot of criticism, but he played a big factor for Alabama last season. He has a lot of potential to elevate his game at quarterback with Kalen DeBoer running the offense. And just imagine if Milroe develops a top 10 or even top 20 passing game. He can be a monster. At number 4, I have Jackson Dart, who is the Ole Miss quarterback. Now last season, Jackson Dart really stepped up. He led Ole Miss to a Peach Bowl victory, and he has potential to take a huge step forward in 2024 with that insane receiver core of Trey Harris and the new addition of Juice Wells. So Jackson Dart could honestly win the Heisman Trophy, and I wouldn't be surprised. At number 3, I have Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers. These last 3 quarterbacks on my ranking could all have a case for number 1. Quinn Ewers has become a great leader, and he is one of the top quarterbacks in the sport. He led Texas to the Big 12 championship game and the playoffs. Despite missing some games to injury, he passed for over 3,000 yards with 22 touchdowns. and he's definitely going to take another step forward in 2024. At number 2, I have Dillon Gabriel, who is the Oregon quarterback. He's going into his 6th season of college football, and I do think he is a little bit better than Quinn Ewers. He threw for 3,600 yards and 70% of his passes were complete last season. He also beat Texas, and he's been grinding for years and his numbers have been incredible. He might not have led his team to the playoffs, but he put up even better numbers than Quinn Ewers did. He might be underrated and he could be a monster for Oregon. At number 1, I have Carson Beck, who was the Georgia quarterback. He threw for nearly 4,000 yards in his first year. He's probably the best returning quarterback in college football, and he's definitely going to be a first-round NFL draft pick. I don't really think anybody else belongs at number 1. He put up incredible numbers last season, and it was just his first year as a starting quarterback. He is going to take another step forward in 2024, and that is going to be scary. But anyways, that's going to do it for this ranking. This was a long video, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. But let me remind you guys to like the video, and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel, because we upload a ton of college football content, and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.